To the first of my Unravel No Death run. Platinum this game. I've already found all the secrets and trophies, so I've already done a no death run. However, I'm going to go through and do a no death run for the sake of Twitch and for the sake of Let's Play and for the sake of another dungeon, just so I can also explain what my thoughts are with the game and how I felt about it and how I feel that it worked well enough and where it didn't work. So in that regard, let me just, check my phone for a second, make sure that the tweet has gone out that I am streaming. You don't have my laptop in front of me, so if you do start following me on Twitch and watching what's going on Twitch, feel free to comment. I can see it on the screen right here. Unfortunately, I don't have my laptop in front of me, so I can respond to you if you ask me a question or anything like that. So without ado, let's go and start off with the very first level, which is Thistle and Weeds. Yanni. So for those who haven't seen the first segment of this game, it involves an old lady, a grandma I assume, going to bed, and essentially a ball of yarn, a red yarn, falls out of her bag of yarn. It looks like I've started back at the, let's restart that level. A ball of red yarn falls out and tumbles out and turns into Yanni, this red devil looking creature. He's actually quite nice. Well, it seems gender neutral. I guess we always like to say he, she, whatever. But regardless, you find yourself at the front door and I'm moving out, seeing the world for the very first time. In the analogy of, oh, there's a butterfly, how lovely. And in the analogy of Unravel, that is essentially the start of life through to death, you are essentially being born here and seeing the world for the first time, and it's all just lovely and wonderful. So one of the things that the game does is that you run out of yarn because yarn makes up your body. And essentially, as you can see, Yanni has now become a skeleton. So there are points where you need to complete certain puzzles or elements to progress and get these spools of yarn, which that butterfly is currently sitting on, to be able to progress and build yourself up to being a regular size Yanni. There are moments where you might feel that you've not done the right thing and are stuck because Yanni's run out of yarn and you're certain that you've done the right thing. When we get to some of those later levels, that's one of the things it doesn't tell you, is that you can actually, if you press on PlayStation 4, if you press the L2 button, you can actually climb backwards there. But yeah, so going back to what I was saying, sometimes you'll find a bit later on that you'll have tried to have done something but it just didn't work and you're not sure why, and some of the puzzles just aren't as clear as they could be. So along the way you'll find that there's these shining beacons, which are essentially hooks, which you can throw out a lasso onto and be able to swing across to certain points. You can also watch these memories play in the background for some reason. You're supposed to feel like you're part of this, and Yanni collects that memory for no particular purpose. It plays no impact on the greater story. So we'll climb up here and we'll jump across. And there we go, make Yanni a bit more. One of the things as well, as you can see, I swung quite a few times before I jumped. If you are playing through Unravel for the first time, don't just go and jump across like that, because in the later levels you'll find that if you do that, you'll often mistime your jump and die a horrible death. Well, not really horrible. Some of the deaths I just don't understand as well. They don't make a heck of a lot of sense. Going back there as well, so as you saw on the screen, it says that you can use the left stick to flick down and jump up. Alright, but one of the things that I found out when I had the game paused, on PS4 at least, you can't do this on Xbox One or PC, but using the trackpad you can actually fling back up and jump that way. The game never tells you that. Obviously it's multi-platform, so they would have had it on PlayStation 4. It's worthwhile knowing that. So let's connect another point and we're going to continue on. As you saw, the apple just dropped down. I'm going to hop down for a minute just to show you, but this is where it tells you that you can actually hold L2 to grab your yarn tail and climb back up. The first time that I fell down here, I died. So if I didn't know, that you could actually use that L2 as sort of a brake, or I guess if there is a term, if you're abseiling, there's a term that people who abseil use to sort of break things. I don't know. But essentially, you can use the L2 to brake and halter your fall. In this particular level, one of the achievements / trophies that you can get is by pulling out these thistles, and you can get that. I've already done that, so I won't be showing that. There are a bunch of achievement and collectible videos out there. This is simply just my run is just going to be, as I said, a no-death run, which is going to prove a bit difficult for some of those later levels. These first couple of ones are actually not too hard. Come on, Yanni, jump up. Yes, I remember my lasso because you showed me that not so long ago, how to use that. So let's connect on up there. Hello, the one person that's watching this, welcome. Down we go. So, as it says here, hold L2 and you can use it as a brake to glide down. Because if I had just dropped there, I would have died a horrible death. But yeah, as I was saying, it doesn't make sense with some of those later deaths because Yanni can actually drown for some reason, even though he is... Hello, Randall. Welcome. Good to see you joining in. Yeah, so Yanni can actually drown for some reason, even though he doesn't have lungs. I guess maybe because if he is made of yarn, he gets too soggy, he can't do anything. I'm not sure. So I'm going to untie this because if you leave your hooks tied up too much, you really can't progress all that far because your yarn is essentially tied up with hooks. So that's, your yarn management plays into it quite a bit later on. So these in Unravel, the puzzles are quite simple in the sense that it's usually about doing something to make a bridge to get somewhere, if that makes sense. So this being a no death, I'm not going to show you what it looks like when Yanni drowns. I don't understand why it comes up with this at this point because it's not a challenging point as to if you'd need to restart. It doesn't make sense. Alright, up these steps. So, let's see. as I was saying, you can pull these out and you get an achievement later on for pulling out all of the thistles. Yanni's gone too far without collecting his stuff, which I should have gotten under there because that was why I pulled it out. Duh, of course. So up we go and move across. I actually quite like the opening level because it's simple enough and shows you just the right amount of what the game is about. Look at that, breaking somebody's pot. It's terrible. You know, so, which is good. This was the first thing that when I played it on my first time through actually kind of confused me a little bit, only because you see that point right here, the tricycle got stuck and I just couldn't pull it over, and I don't know why it did that, but it was one of the first things that I had issues with the game, and it took me a little bit to figure out what was wrong. But I think, as you'll notice as this Let's Play goes through a bit further, that there are quite a few things which I had difficulty with on the first time, but on subsequent playthroughs, this is my, oh yeah, that's right, it's there. This is going to be my 5th playthrough of Unravel, which is a bit strange given I gave it 6.5 out of 10, which you can read on a website, anotherdungeon.com. It's not up yet, it'll be up probably next week. But yeah, I gave it 6.5 out of 10, so it's a bit strange that in that regard I'm on my 5th playthrough. I guess because I really like platformers, and yeah, I'm not sure. The first time actually as well when I played, so innocuous little things like that can kill you. It doesn't make sense, but these things happen. So we're going to push that back up. There's a lot of these puzzles are like that. Make a bridge, push something up it. Alright, we'll undo this because I believe I need that yarn at a later stage. There we go, so we'll keep on going across. As you can see, it's not really that challenging at the moment. So, you know, it's okay. It would be nice if that hedgehog actually did something other than just walk on by, but it's okay. It's fine. There are a lot of cute animals in this game, but most of them actually surprisingly try and kill you. I'm not sure why, but especially since it's a game that quite happily shows you that, you know, the world is really lovely and everything like that, but yeah, a lot of these animals want to kill you. So we're just going to tie these two together here and connect it up here. As I was saying, it's really not pushing the idea of puzzles all that much yet, in the sense that, you know, I just did this kind of puzzle not so long ago. So, you know, yay for doing the same thing over and over again. But yeah, I'm not sure if you can actually hear that music as well, but it's actually quite a nice score. Really, really lovely score. Down into the pot you go. And that's another thing that happens a lot. You are on something, something heavy falls onto it and you go flying. It's a repeated thing. We'll see it a bit later on with a fish as well. So that's it. That is the first level of Unravel in the no death run. There's another 10 to go. I'm not going to do them all, obviously, at this one point. So at the end of each level you get this little token, and Yanni sticks it on the front of a book. As you can see, there's a picture there of a family and lots of memories that are being had. So you can open up the book and it says, "Thistle and weeds, how beautiful this was when it was new, and how beautiful it still is even, though time has made it different." And there's a whole bunch of family photos, which I guess if you like looking at other people's family photos, then it's nice. For me, it did nothing. Maybe I'm cold and heartless, I'm not sure. But I wasn't, yeah. It did nothing for me. But anyway, that's a spoiler alert. The sea, that's the next one. So we'll go and do that. I'll play through the sea and then I'll wrap up today's Let's Play. Only try and keep these nice and short to make them easily digestible for later viewing. So the next one is the sea, which is one of the first sort of, well, it's the second level, but it's one of the first more challenging levels in the sense that it does a lot to work against you in certain ways, which you'll see in the second half of the level. By the way, as well, there's a really good first impressions that Randall has written. He's currently the only person watching at the moment, but first impressions that Randall wrote of The Witness, which I highly recommend reading. It's up on the website. Really, really impressive run through of that particular game, which just confuses me, that game. I don't know if I'd have the patience to play. I'm not really a puzzle person, but nonetheless. Again, this point here, if you are playing it through on a no-death run, make sure you kind of stand a little bit to the side, because Yanni does get bonked on the head, and I have been killed by that can once before, for some reason. Makes no sense. Let me see. So we're going to climb up here. And silly thing. So a lot of the time as well, you'll be doing these kind of bridge jumps, and you kind of need to get the same distance each time. And sometimes you're convinced that you jumped the same distance, but unfortunately you didn't, and therefore you end up in a bad place. Whoops. Ooh. That wasn't good. Climb up. Where are we? So there we go. And then other times as well, it doesn't make sense. Like the bridge there looks like it's on too much of an angle to be able to jump across like that, but nonetheless. So here is one of the first set pieces of the game, where you fly a kite. Now for some reason, you can direct this kite quite easily. Even though it's a kite that's moving on the wind, you can move it like it's a platformer. Which is strange, but nonetheless. Alright. Down we go. There's more stuff on this side, collectible stuff, but again, I'm not covering that kind of stuff. So quite often you'll have to make a swing in a way. Whoops. Probably should just use that. To get to one point. So it's quite easy to do. Now if you remember, this is a little bit similar to the apples that were just in the last level. Pushing a whole bunch of things to move somewhere to do something. Oh yeah, so there's these crabs as well. You can't actually kill anything, but they can certainly kill you, because for some reason crabs like to eat yarn. Which doesn't make sense, but that's alright. So up we go. And down here, Yanni does that a lot, falling down cliffs and stuff like that. Again, another thing that killed me once on my first playthrough, because I pulled it in the wrong direction. Sometimes there's these random, this has no point, like random knots that are just around the place. Don't really make it easier to progress or anything like that. Make sure to put a knot on here, because you need to swing across under there. Now, this part is frustrating at times, because of the water. And if you don't time your jumps properly, and it's really important as well, to put knots on at certain points, so that if you get too far and you realize you're not going to make it, you can sometimes, not always though. Especially like at this point. So as you can see, this green stuff on the side here kind of makes it a little bit difficult to gauge where you need to land. And I almost died there. Fortunately I didn't. It would have been unfortunate, but nonetheless, yeah, you need to just judge where you're going to land properly. It's a little bit difficult as well. Especially if you're over something like the water or a crevice where it's hard to know that you're actually going to be able to land where you're intending to land. But maybe that's part of the theme of the game, in the sense that, you know, you don't know what's going to happen in life, so just accept it and, you know, all life's challenges. But this is a game, and I don't think that that's what they were going for. If they were, then they achieved it. Yeah, not for me. So we're about halfway through this level. As you can see, each level is probably about 10-15 minutes long. And you know, on first playthrough it takes a little bit longer because you're getting used to what the levels are. I'm going to push this oyster down here because we're going to play chicken with a crab. It's quite difficult to make sure that you don't die there. You just got to quickly jump, which is not something that this game is easy at doing. Oh shit, that's right. Forgot the crab was there. So, I quite like this puzzle actually, because it makes you think, even though you're just doing exactly the same sort of thing as you've done before on previous levels, on previous level rather, making a bridge, pushing something up it, except this time you're trying to entice a crab away from something. So you're going to pull, and he's going to smack you out of the way in a second and run away to go and eat his food. Because if you're supposed to go away. Alright. He actually is supposed to go in that hole there, which makes it a bit odd that he hasn't, but nonetheless, I actually need the bridge. Yeah, I'm not sure why he's eating his food out in the open, but whatever. His choice, not mine. I'm not a crab. I don't make these decisions. He's not the last crab we're going to encounter as well. We'll see some more in a minute. Again with these images, people fishing. Okay. This is not easy, this part, because you got to time your movements with the incoming tide, which is quite, you know, can be a little bit tricky and frustrating if it doesn't want to work with you, but for the most part it's alright. So we're going to push this under there because it's a float. And we're gonna, oh, you nearly drowned there, Yanni, I'm sorry. So we're gonna make a bridge up here again because we want to move something somewhere. So that goes up there, and we're gonna go up here, make another bridge because we're gonna need this float in a minute. So push that up there, and because we're going to need some more yarn as well, we're going to remove that knot too. And up we are. So we're going to push this across because we're going to need this float right about here. My controller was vibrating then whilst I was walking in the water, basically saying, you might die, be careful. Alright, up we go. Come on, Yanni. There we go. Okay, climb up. So I've got another crab. Ooh, that was a bit close. This one I feel kind of sad about and not so sure about this particular puzzle, and you'll see why in a second. Wait. Ah, that's right. Need to. And he goes to sit under there to eat his food, and then we're going to trap him. Because that's apparently how crab nets work. You trap them like that. And now this crab is stuck in a net and is going to die. Poor crab. You didn't do anything to anybody. You just wanted to exist as a crab in your life. Unfortunately, you're dead. Well, not really dead yet, but you will be eventually. Because somebody's going to come along and eat you. Poor crab. Nonetheless. We don't have to worry about the crab anymore. So we'll move on, and we're almost at the end of this particular level. We just have a few more crabs to deal with, of course. As you can see, there is a conga line of crabs underneath there for some reason, who all want to eat Yanni. So I'm just going to quickly pop a knot on there. Oh no! That's not supposed to happen on a no-death run. At all. That's not right. Nonetheless, I will continue on for the time being and redo this level at a later stage on another playthrough. So this is another puzzle that you're going to find quite a bit. Put a knot on something and open up a door. Happens a few times. It's fine, it's not a problem. I didn't entirely understand what I needed to do, but nonetheless I got there in the end, by accident, unfortunately. So, you know, what can you do? So essentially you have this, you kickstart your motor here and cut the rope, and along we go. And again, just like in before, when you're on something, it hits something, you go flying. Something similar, you know, should occur there. So you hit something, you continue moving, and you find the next token, which is a knitted fish. Because we just did a level in the sea, of course. Don't fall over. So that is it. I'm going to wrap up today's Let's Play right here. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. That was the first 2 levels of Yanni's adventure in Unravel. So thank you again for listening and watching. If you're interested, head over to Another Dungeon on Twitter, on Facebook, anotherdungeon.com, which you'll be able to read my eventual review of Unravel. Thank you again very much, guys. See you on the next episode. Bye.